Welcome to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love series.
Yeah.
Today, we're diving deep into a case that really shook Chennai back in 2017.
Yeah.
It's a story about an office romance turned deadly. The Chennai Office Romance Murder.
It's a case that reminds us how quickly love can turn into something dark and dangerous.
Absolutely. And before we get into the complexities of the case, let's set the scene for our listeners.
Okay, so picture this Chennai 2017.
Okay.
We have Meera Krishnan, a bright, cheerful 26-year-old marketing executive, and Ravi Iyer, a 28-year-old software engineer.
Okay.
They worked at the same IT firm, and like many workplace romances, they start dating.
Right.
But as the relationship progressed,
a
darker side of Ravi began to emerge.
That's where things take a turn, right?
Exactly.
This seemingly ordinary romance becomes anything but ordinary.
Ravi's possessiveness and controlling behavior started to show. He would constantly question Meera about her interactions with male colleagues, demand to know her whereabouts, and try to isolate her from her friends and family.
That's classic controlling behavior.
Yeah.
It's often subtle at first.
Right.
Almost disguised as concern, but it's a huge red flag.
Exactly.
Did Meera try to address this?
She did.
Okay.
Meera, known for her independent spirit,
tried
to reason with Ravi, hoping to salvage the relationship.
But
as is often the case with possessive partners, his insecurities only intensified, leading to more arguments and tension.
It must have been a difficult and emotionally draining situation for Meera.
Right.
What happened next? Did she continue to tolerate his behavior, or did she try to break free from this toxic relationship?
Sensing the danger and realizing the relationship was beyond repair, Meera decided to end things with Ravi. This was a brave step, considering his possessive tendency.
That must have taken a lot of courage.
Yeah.
It's never easy to walk away from a relationship, especially when there's a fear of how the other person might react.
Yeah.
So how did Ravi handle the breakup?
Not well, unfortunately.
Oh.
He refused to accept her decision.
Okay.
He clung to the belief that they were destined to be together no matter what.
Wow.
This delusion, coupled with his inability to cope with rejection, laid the groundwork for the horrifying events that followed.
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
His inability to accept her decision speaks volumes about his controlling nature.
It does.
He couldn't fathom the idea of Meera having a life separate from him.
Right.
It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the end of a relationship can be the most dangerous time for someone trapped with a possessive partner.
Absolutely.
So tell me what happened on that fateful night.
On the evening of October 12, 2017, Meera was working late at the office. Ravi, consumed by his obsession and fueled by a desire for control, was waiting for her outside the building as Meera left the office and headed towards her car in the dimly lit parking lot. Ravi approached her.
It's almost like a scene from a thriller.
Yeah.
Knowing his state of mind.
Right.
It's terrifying to imagine Meera's vulnerability in that moment.
Witnesses later reported hearing a heated argument.
Oh, wow.
You can imagine the scene, Meera trying to reason with him, pleading with him to leave her alone. And Ravi, his rage escalating, fueled by rejection and possessiveness. His words laced with anger and desperation echoed through the parking lot.
Wow.
Creating a chilling atmosphere of fear and tension.
I can only imagine the terror she must have felt.
Right.
Did anyone try to intervene?
Well,
did anyone hear her cries for help?
Tragically, before anyone could come to her aid, the confrontation took a horrifying turn. Ravi, in a fit of blind rage, pulled out a concealed knife and attacked Meera.
It's unimaginable, the brutality of that moment. The fear she must have experienced.
The attack was swift and brutal.
Oh, my gosh.
Meera, caught completely off guard, had no chance to defend herself. Witnesses described a chaotic scene, screams piercing the night, the glint of a blade in the dim light, and then silence.
Wow.
A chilling silence that spoke volumes about the tragedy that had just unfolded. Bystanders rushed to her side, but it was too late.
Oh, no.
She succumbed to her injuries before help could arrive.
It's a horrifying reminder of how quickly a situation can escalate. How easily anger and possessiveness can transform into violence.
Absolutely.
What about Ravi?
Yes.
Did he try to escape?
In a moment of panic, fueled by the realization of what he had done, Ravi attempted to flee the scene. But security guards, alerted by the commotion, quickly apprehended him.
So he was caught at the scene. I imagine that made the initial stages of the investigation fairly straightforward.
Right.
But what about the deeper investigation?
Well, the Chennai police conducted a very thorough investigation, leaving no stone unturned. They started with the most immediate pieces of evidence, the murder weapon and eyewitness accounts.
Okay, let's unpack that.
All right.
What did these initial pieces of evidence reveal?
The murder weapon, a knife, was recovered from the scene. Forensic analysis quickly confirmed that it was the weapon used in the attack, and fingerprints on the handle matched Ravi's. This, combined with the witness testimonies, painted a pretty clear picture of what happened that night.
That's already quite damning.
It is.
The physical evidence corroborates the eyewitness accounts, leaving little room for doubt about his involvement in the attack.
Exactly.
But did the investigation go beyond just the physical evidence?
Absolutely. The investigators didn't stop there. They delved deeper into the relationship between Meera and Ravi, interviewing colleagues, friends, and family members to uncover the history of their relationship and Ravi's behavior leading up to the murder.
So they were trying to establish a pattern of behavior to see if there were any warning signs that could have predicted this tragic outcome.
And what they found was quite disturbing.
What kind of disturbing patterns did they uncover?
Well, that's where the story takes an even darker turn.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's dive into the next layer of this investigation.
Let's take a closer look at what those who knew Meera and Ravi had to say. Their accounts paint a chilling picture of Ravi's descent into possessiveness. And the events that ultimately led to that fateful night in the parking lot.
Welcome back to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love. Before we dig into the chilling details revealed by those who knew Meera and Ravi, let's recap where we left off.
We're just about to uncover the unsettling patterns of behavior
that the investigators discovered during their in-depth interviews with those closest to the victim and the perpetrator.
That's right. As the police spoke with Meera's friends and colleagues, a consistent narrative began to emerge. A story of a vibrant young woman slowly being suffocated by her partner's controlling behavior.
It's heartbreaking to think that someone so full of life was trapped in such a toxic relationship.
Absolutely.
What specific details did the people close to Meera reveal?
They shared instances of Ravi's possessiveness and jealousy. He'd constantly check Meera's phone, question her about her male colleagues, and even try to dictate her clothing choices.
That's a classic example of how possessiveness can manifest in a relationship.
Exactly.
It's not just about grand gestures. It's those subtle attempts to control and manipulate that can be so insidious.
Absolutely.
Did anyone try to warn Meera about Ravi's behavior?
Several of her friends expressed concern, urging her to be cautious. They noticed the changes in her demeanor. The once bubbly and outgoing Meera had become withdrawn and anxious.
That's so sad to hear. It's a reminder that those closest to us often see the red flags before we do. They can provide an objective perspective that we sometimes lack when we're caught up in the emotions of a relationship.
You're absolutely right. It's crucial to listen to those who care about us. They often see things we might miss or choose to ignore.
Did Meera ever confide in anyone about her struggles with Ravi's behavior?
A few close friends revealed that Meera had expressed her frustrations, admitting that Ravi's possessiveness was becoming unbearable. She confided in them about his constant accusations, his attempts to isolate her, and the growing fear she felt.
It's a stark reminder that even the most independent and strong-willed individuals can find themselves trapped in abusive relationships. It can happen to anyone.
Absolutely.
Did her friends try to help her escape the situation?
They did their best to support her. They encouraged her to assert her boundaries, to stand up for herself, and ultimately to consider ending the relationship.
It must have been a difficult decision for Meera to make. But ultimately, it was the right one. Her safety and well-being were paramount.
Absolutely.
What about Ravi's side of the story? Did the investigators uncover any insights?
They did, into his motivations or his state of mind leading up to the murder. Conversations with Ravi's friends and family members revealed a troubled young man, struggling with insecurity and a deep-seated fear of abandonment.
That's interesting. So it seems like his possessiveness stemmed from a place of deep-seated insecurity. rather than a conscious desire to control and manipulate.
That's a crucial distinction to make.
Okay.
It doesn't excuse his actions.
But it does provide some context for understanding the underlying psychological factors that contributed to his behavior.
That's a really important point.
It is.
Understanding the psychology behind possessiveness can help us recognize the warning signs and intervene before a situation escalates.
Absolutely.
So what specific insights did the investigators glean from those close to Ravi?
Okay.
What did they reveal about his personality and his relationship with Meera?
His friends described him as someone who often struggled to maintain healthy relationships. He had a pattern of becoming overly attached and possessive, leading to conflicts and breakups.
It sounds like this was a recurring pattern in his life, not just a one-time occurrence.
Right.
Did they share any specific examples of this behavior?
Yes. They recounted stories of Ravi's jealousy and controlling tendencies in previous relationships. He would often accuse his partners of infidelity, monitor their social media accounts,
and attempt to isolate them from their friends and family.
That's a clear indication of a deep-seated issue with trust and insecurity.
Right.
It's the pattern that, sadly, often repeats itself.
It does.
Until the underlying issues are addressed.
Exactly. And in Ravi's case,
right,
those underlying issues combined with his inability to cope with rejection created a perfect storm that ultimately led to tragedy.
It's a chilling reminder that unresolved emotional baggage can have devastating consequences.
It's true.
Not just for the individual, but for those around them.
It underscores the importance of seeking help, of addressing those deep-seated insecurities and learning healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with difficult emotion.
Absolutely. It's about breaking those destructive patterns and learning to build healthy, respectful relationships.
And recognizing the warning signs early on. It's about being aware of those red flags. The jealousy, the controlling behavior, the attempts to isolate, and taking action before a situation spirals out of control.
So armed with these compelling insights into Meera and Ravi's relationship, the investigators now had a deeper understanding of the dynamics that led to the murder. But what about the legal side of the case? How did the prosecution use this information to build their case against Ravi?
That's where the focus shifted, from understanding the relationship to building a solid legal case that could stand up in court.
Okay, let's delve into the legal strategy. How did the prosecution utilize the evidence and witness testimonies to prove Ravi's guilt?
The prosecution team, realizing they needed to establish not only the act of murder, but also the intent behind it, meticulously pieced together a narrative of Ravi's obsessive behavior and premeditation.
So they were aiming to prove that this wasn't a crime of passion.
Exactly.
A spontaneous act of violence, but rather a calculated and deliberate act driven by his obsession with Meera.
They presented the evidence gathered from Meera's phone, those chilling text messages where Ravi threatened her, warned her against ending the relationship, and expressed his possessiveness in no uncertain terms.
Wow, that's powerful evidence.
It is.
It directly links his words to his actions, revealing his state of mind and his intentions.
And it gets even more compelling. Remember the digital footprint we discussed earlier?
Yes. The investigators mentioned uncovering some digital evidence. What exactly did they find? And how did it strengthen the prosecution's case?
The police, in a stroke of brilliant digital forensics, were able to recover deleted files from Ravi's computer.
Wow.
These files included internet search histories and emails that revealed a disturbing pattern of behavior.
What kind of searches and emails are we talking about? What did they reveal about Ravi's mindset in the days leading up to the murder?
They uncovered searches relating to topics like how to track someone's location, penalty for murder in Chennai, and best ways to dispose of evidence. These searches, combined with emails to Meera, filled with threats and accusations, painted a chilling picture of a man consumed by obsession and plotting a sinister act.
That's incredibly incriminating evidence.
It is.
It goes beyond possessiveness and jealousy. It reveals a calculated and deliberate plan to harm Meera.
Exactly. The prosecution argued that these digital breadcrumbs, combined with the witness testimonies and the physical evidence, provided irrefutable proof of premeditation.
It sounds like they built a very strong case against Ravi.
They did.
But what about his defense? How did his legal team attempt to counter such damning evidence?
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Okay.
What approach did they take?
Yeah.
How did they attempt to defend Ravi in the face of such overwhelming evidence?
Well, that's a story for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore the defense's strategy, the courtroom drama that unfolded, and the ultimate verdict in this gripping case.
Right.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Love.
Yes.
We've been dissecting the tragic Chennai Office Romance Murder, unraveling the layers of possessiveness, obsession, and the digital trail that sealed Ravi's fate.
We left off with the prosecution presenting a very strong case, leaving Ravi's defense team with the difficult task of challenging the narrative of premeditation.
So let's dive into the defense's strategy.
Okay.
What arguments did they use to try and counter the overwhelming evidence against Ravi?
Faced with the daunting task of defending their client,
Yeah.
Ravi's legal team opted for a strategy that focused on his emotional state.
Interesting. So instead of denying the crime itself, they tried to shift the focus to his mental and emotional state leading up to the murder.
Precisely. They argued that Ravi, deeply in love with Meera and devastated by the breakup, was not in a rational state of mind. They painted a picture of a man driven to a moment of madness by heartbreak and despair.
So they were essentially arguing that the murder was a crime of passion.
Exactly.
An impulsive act fueled by uncontrollable emotions rather than a calculated, premeditated act.
They claim that the digital searches and emails, while disturbing, were merely expressions of his emotional turmoil. Not concrete evidence of a planned murder.
That's a bold strategy considering the nature of the evidence.
It was.
Did they present any psychological evaluations or expert testimony to support their claims of Ravi's emotional instability?
They did. The defense called upon a renowned psychiatrist who testified that Ravi exhibited signs of borderline personality disorder, a condition characterized by intense emotional swings. Impulsivity and fear of abandonment.
So they were trying to establish a clinical basis for his actions, suggesting that his mental state impaired his judgment and contributed to the tragic outcome.
They argued that Ravi's actions, while undeniably horrific,
were not driven by malice, but rather by a desperate and misguided attempt to win Meera back.
It's a complex argument.
It is.
On one hand, it's important to acknowledge that mental health can play a significant role in criminal behavior. But on the other hand, it's crucial to hold individuals accountable for their actions, regardless of their mental state.
It's a delicate balance between understanding the underlying psychological factors and ensuring that justice is served.
So how did the jury respond to the defense's arguments? Were they swayed by the psychiatrist's testimony and the portrayal of Ravi as a heartbroken and emotionally unstable man?
The jury, faced with conflicting narratives and a complex emotional landscape, deliberated for days. Carefully weighing the evidence and the arguments presented by both sides. It was a tense period of anticipation as everyone awaited the verdict.
It must have been a challenging task for the jury.
Yes, it was.
To sift through the emotions.
And the legal complexities to reach a just verdict.
Indeed, the courtroom was filled with a palpable sense of anticipation. Everyone holding their breath as the jury foreman read the verdict.
And what was the verdict? Did the jury accept the defense's argument of a crime of passion? Or did they find Ravi guilty of premeditated murder?
In the end, the jury rejected the defense's claims of a crime of passion. They found Ravi guilty of premeditated murder, concluding that his actions were deliberate and planned.
So despite the defense's attempts to portray him as a victim of his own emotions, the jury ultimately held him accountable for the calculated nature of his actions.
Yes, the weight of the evidence, the digital footprint, the threatening messages, and the witness testimonies proved too strong to dismiss. The jury saw through the defense's attempts to downplay his intent.
What sentence did Ravi receive?
The judge, in a powerful statement that condemned Ravi's actions and acknowledged the devastating impact on Meera's family and friends, sentenced him to life imprisonment.
It's a stark reminder that actions have consequences. And that even in the face of emotional turmoil, we're responsible for our choices.
This case, while deeply tragic, offers valuable lessons for all of us.
Absolutely. What are some of the key takeaways that our listeners should keep in mind?
Firstly, recognizing the red flags of a toxic relationship is crucial. Jealousy, possessiveness, controlling behavior. These are not signs of love. but rather warning signs of a relationship that could turn dangerous.
It's so important to remember that love should never be a source of fear or control.
Right.
Healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and open communication.
Secondly, we need to foster a culture where individuals feel comfortable seeking help for mental and emotional health issues.
Okay.
Suppressing emotions, especially those related to anger, insecurity, and loss, can have devastating consequences.
It's about breaking the stigma surrounding mental health
Right.
and encouraging open dialogue about these issues.
And finally, this case highlights the importance of digital literacy and responsible online behavior.
Right.
Our digital footprints can reveal a lot about our intentions and actions, and in this case, they played a crucial role in securing justice for Meera.
It's a reminder that our online activities can have real-world consequences.
Absolutely.
And that we should be mindful of the information we share and the traces we leave behind.
The Chennai Office Romance Murder is a tragic story that underscores the complexities of human relationships and the dark potential of unchecked emotions. But it also offers valuable lessons about recognizing red flags, seeking help when needed, and fostering a culture of respect and healthy boundaries in all relationships.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into a case that has left a lasting impact on us all.
It has.
If any of the issues discussed in this episode have resonated with you, please remember that you are not alone. There are resources available to help.
And as always, please remember to follow CrimePod Castle for more captivating stories that delve into the dark side of human nature.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive behind-the-scenes content and bonus episodes. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and as always, stay vigilant.